Hello friends, welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Tartest Pro Glow 3 palette. I received this in my June Boxyluxe. I have been testing this for a while. I have a very definite opinion about this product. But let's go through a few things first. I have talked about Tarte and reviewed Tarte products on my channel before, so I'm not going to be talking about the brand overall, but I will tell you a little bit about this palette. I'm then going to show me applying the products for the look that I have today, and then I will be giving you my review and my thoughts on whether you may want to get this product. I will also put timestamps down below in the description bar. So this product right here, the Tartest Pro Glow 3 palette, you'll find a lot of these Pro Glow palettes, and in fact I had a hard time finding specifically this one either on their website or on Sephora. So I don't know if that means that this hasn't been released necessarily yet, or if it was released a while ago and maybe isn't selling as much anymore, but you will find a number of these palettes that are either just highlight and contour, ones that are just blush, ones that are like this, highlight, contour, bronzer, and blush. So I was able to find some information about pricing, but just know that it's not exactly this palette. So for me, if I was to go and buy this at Sephora here in Canada, it would cost me $59 Canadian. So you can think about that as roughly about $10 per pan of product that is in here. Other than that, there's not a huge amount of information about this palette. I mean, it's all powder products that are in here. And I will show you that you do get the two blushes up on top, a very sort of pink one and then more of a mauve one, and those are Dance Floor and Premier. You then do get two highlights. One is more gold, and that is Headliner and then A-Lister. I'm pretty sure I'm doing these properly. And then you have two, I would say that this one is more of a contour. That is, I believe, Autograph and Backstage. Or maybe Backstage and Autograph, sorry. I'm terrible with like orienting myself to this. So you do get all of those in here. And as you can see, the way that this folds out is a little interesting. It has two mirrors on it and sort of folds out in this way. While this is a cardboard palette, it does have a good amount of heft to it. There's like a weight to this palette. It feels very sturdy. So there we go. Let's go into seeing me apply it. I am looking a little ghostly and flat, so let's get to work putting some color and life back into my face. I'm going to do just the tiniest little bit of contouring, and I'm going to do it with this shade right here, which is Backstage. I'm not usually much for contouring, but I find this to be really soft and very subtle, so I'm not as concerned about going too far with it as I usually am with other products. Just taking a very small fluffy brush. And I'm just going to contour at the smallest bit. It's very subtle, but I like my contour very subtle. There we go, just a tiny little bit of shape to my face with that. I think as well, I don't usually do this, but I am going to go into the more warm tone shade, which I believe is Autograph. Again, with I should probably use a larger brush for this, but I'm just going to add a little bit of Sun-Kissed Glow and make sure that is blend it well and back into my hairline. Of all the shades, this one does seem to be the most pigmented when you first put it on. So you do want to make sure you don't go overboard with this one. All the other ones you would have a really hard time going like overboard with. And because for me, this is always supposed to sort of look like where the sun hits you. I know other people don't tend to do this, but I'm going to add just a little bit of Sun-Kissed Glow to my cheeks and nose. It looks so much harsher, the bronzer on my nose on camera, than it does in real life. In real life, it looks very natural and just sort of sun-kissed. I'm then going to go for a blush, and I'm going to go for the more mauve colored one, which I believe is the one called Premier. Is that right? I never know when I flip these things around. Yeah, Premier, and I'm just going in with a fairly dense blush brush to add some color on the apples of my cheeks. There we go. And finally, I'm going to highlight with a little fan brush, and I'm going into the slightly pinkier and slightly more sort of champagne colored one called A-Lister. So I'm just going to fan into there. And I've been enjoying lately bringing my highlight quite down onto like the front of my cheeks, because I think that looks nice with my face shape. So there we go, I've got some glow there. And I'll do the same on the other side. Got some glow there too. And I'm also going to add just a little to the end of my nose and also the bridge of my nose. And there we go, a little more glow and color and life in my face. In trying out this palette, I really like it. I have one con for it that isn't necessarily a con. I really like the way this flips out. I feel like somehow it makes it feel less bulky because you don't have sort of like one big flap coming over. But let's just all agree that this is not a very good way to set out a mirror to actually have the mirror be usable. Like, you can only sort of see so much of your face in here. It's sort of just your eyes or just your cheeks. And considering this is a face palette, you probably want a mirror where you can see everything at once to really get the whole look going. So while I actually like some aspects of how this folds out, really like there's no way to use two of these mirrors. So just that aspect of it makes it a little less functional for the mirror part of it. But everything else here I really love. Like, I think if you are somebody who likes Tarte powder products, this is a really great way to get them. And I also think that if you are somebody who travels a lot, this would be a really great palette. So let me break down a few things here. I think that unlike a lot of face palettes, if you are somebody, and say you're my skin tone, because that's sort of the only one I can speak to, you are probably going to use all of these products that are in here, unlike a lot of face palettes. So the two blushes are very nice. They are different enough that you would use them in different situations. I do love the formula of Tarte blushes. And let's also note that if you are going to buy a Tarte blush individually here in Canada, it's going to cost you $38. So basically, one blush is 2/3 the cost of this palette. So if you do want to try a couple of their blushes, a couple of their highlights, this is sort of the more economical way to go, which I feel strange saying since it's $60, but you know, it's true. So you've got the two blushes in here, both of which are really nice and, you know, different enough that you'll use them. You have the two highlights, one more gold tone, one more champagne toned, and I've used both of those. So they are both usable. Probably the gold one is a little more usable on a slightly tanner skin tone, but I've been able to make it work on me. And then you have the two, what they call contour shades, but as you saw from the way I was using them, I find that contour is there to make shadows, and you don't really want your shadows to be warm toned. So I find this to be more of a contour color if that's what you're doing. And you may look at these and think, ooh, those look really dark. But as you can tell, you can use a light hand or not even that much of a light hand, because these are really very buildable products. And considering I have a fairly light skin tone, they do work. Now, as opposed to that, you've got your bronzer, which is there to make your skin look more sun-kissed and glowing. So to me, you're not doing that like under your cheekbones, you're doing that more on your forehead, over your nose, where that might be that the sun would actually hit. So I find these are actually two products that do two different things, which means they are both very usable. And as I said, you know, considering these end up being about $10 Canadian per pan, if you do think you are going to use all of these and you really love Tarte products, then this would be a great way to go. I also mentioned that this would be great if you were traveling because you could take this and have it replace a lot of products. So not only are you going to have your blush, your highlight, your bronzer, your contour in here, but if you are somebody who just wants to do a simple eye look, you could easily use these shades and do something that let you deepen up your crease, let you highlight, you know, your eyelid a little bit. So you could also take this along and have it be your eyeshadow palette as well. And because this does have such a nice, like, solid feeling to it, I would feel very good traveling with this, and it really would, you know, then you don't have to have the blush and the highlight and the contour and the eyeshadow palettes and all of that. You sort of get one compact thing to take with you. So I think this is really gonna sort of sit out on my vanity and be something I go back to quite often. I will mention that I found with the highlight, the first couple of times it didn't seem to pop that much, and then it really started popping. So it may be that you need to sort of get past that first layer of highlight. Not saying it looks bad at first, but I do find that once it almost like softens up a little bit, or you get past that first layer, that it really starts to have some impact when you put it on without having to build it up. But I am super, super happy with this. I look forward to using it over and over and over again. So if this is something that you've been considering, I would say it is worth it, it is good, and you will likely be very happy if you choose to purchase it. So that is my review of the Tartest Pro Glow 3. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this review, give it a thumbs up. If you are not yet subscribed, subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing all of you in my next video. Bye!